right, so got what's going on, everybody? This is the Phantom Niner. Just wanted to do a quick reaction, immediate instant reaction to the game that just took place. 49ers versus the Seahawks. Classic game, rivalry, so much went down. We got, George Kittle getting hurt. We got McCaffrey actually looking really good. We got, Ricky Pearsall to, Brock Purdy throwing two touchdown passes and two interceptions. And then we got the tale of Jake Moody where you don't know, is he going to make it? Is he not going to make it? It doesn't matter if it's 1 point or 3 points. There's always a risk, and you're rolling the dice when you gamble with Purdy's kicks at this very moment. So it was an electric game. When you're on the winning side of that game, your emotions are like super high. You're like, wow, this is crazy. This is awesome. This is what I want to see. But there's also when you're on the losing side, you're like, man, what did we do? Right? We did not play a perfect game. There was a lot of things that went not well. There's a lot of stuff that we got to clean up. I think, the good, the bad, the ugly. I think as a team, there were some bright spots, right? But there was also some spots where it's like, man, what happened? And, what ended up taking, place. The one thing I will say is for the Seahawks, you got to give their defense respect because their defense is actually pretty legit. They are really, they're a well-oiled machine under, their new coach. And it's, McDonald's got them ready to play. So end of the day, you know, it was a grimy game. There was nothing guaranteed. In fact, when Brock threw that second interception, it was looking not so great. But there was a way our defense was able to just rally, get the stuff back, and then the way the offense at the end was able to come back. Like these are the type of games where we don't really have good records with these games. And we haven't really under Kyle Shanahan. Like in the past, these types of games, we just tended to lose. Like we would just get tensed up. We wouldn't know what to do. Things wouldn't go our way. And yeah, this game, definitely a lot of learning experiences, definitely a lot of questions. Uh, Trent Williams, he looks like he's getting to a place where obviously we knew he wasn't the best left tackle in football anymore, but now it just looks like he is getting to maybe average to in some areas there was some stuff that is like uncharacteristic of him and that made a difference, right? Brock was getting pressured a lot. And even the parts where it looked like Brock wasn't pressured as much, the coverage on the wide receivers, like separation wasn't bad. In fact, I think one of the throws that, Brock Purdy threw for the first interception, part of it was going back to what uh, you know Olson was saying, Greg Olson was saying, which is basically, I believe Christian made a mistake. He should have, done a different route, and that would have pulled, the linebacker or the safety. I don't know which one it was, so that the ball could have gone over. When that didn't happen, Brock forced it, and again, those situations you get into those situations because if you remember at that point they had got him behind the sticks. They were pushed out. It was a holding penalty right before it. And then on the second one, it was a classic case of nobody's open. Let me just throw it up to my guy. I think it was to Pearsall. And then there was three men in coverage. So it's just you got to be smarter at those points. But I also get that at the moment it was like a pressing situation because the 49ers had so much on offense. They had so many yards, they had so much going, and yet the score, the red zone offensive power just wasn't as precise. Which, if this doesn't get fixed, it's going to freaking haunt the 49ers. So, with that being said, That's kind of just the high level interaction, high level reaction from me about what's going on. Now, as for Jake Moody, it's tough because at some point you've got to really. Here's the thing. I know why Kyle wants to keep him, and it's not just a lot of people just think, oh, it's because he was drafted in the third round. I heard probably a while ago. I want to say last year or the year prior. I heard an announcer say that it's because when Kyle Shanahan was, at the Commanders, him and his father, they had drafted a kicker, and then the kicker didn't do well early, and then eventually that kicker, they ended up getting rid of him or cutting him, whatever the case may be, and then that kicker went on to the very next team. They went on to have a really great, fruitful career afterwards. So basically, kind of like you gave up on the guy before he could really shine. The issue is, I think this is really a mental thing for Moody. What I mean by that is I think he's already pressured in the uniform of the 49ers. And not just because of the franchise, but more so it's like he's drafted here, he's been here for so long. Each time he kicks, it feels like it's the weight of the world on him to prove everybody wrong. Kind of like how what they said in the beginning of this game when they talked about the 49ers last year feeling like they every game was like the Super Bowl. Every game was the Super Bowl, and they realized not every game is the Super Bowl. You got to take a step back and you got to just say, you know what? It's one game at a time. It's one, pass at a time, one run at a time. And you got to take your time because you're not going to win the game with, one drive or one play. It's consistent effort doing the little things right over a long period of time that leads to great success, right? So, again, a lot of high level things. Christian looked really good this game. And again, it's kind of like if you take out the pressing, the offense was still able to do some good things. But I really think George Kittle getting hurt, that could be a really big difference. I also think that Juwan Jennings just he wasn't being as used, and that could be, you have to look at the tape and see how open he was on a lot of stuff, a lot of things. But again, and then Jake Tonjes just grabbing that ball, and I know it's like, oh man, was that going to be another interception or another bad throw? The fact is, at that point in time, it's like you run the route, you throw the ball, you get the score, you live to fight another day. And that's just, end of the day, that's just how it works. So, again, that's my immediate reaction to the 49ers. The fact is, survive. Survive and move on. And that's kind of the goal here. They won the game, they took over, and that's going to be the key. They won the game and they can continue. Really, they just got to clean up some of those penalties. Uh, Defense is still young, so they're still going to be growing, but I think they did a tremendous job for just a lot of the inexperience and a lot of the youth that we had on our, defensive side of the ball. For offense, we got to see what those injuries look like. We got to see how George Kittle is looking because he was key in that first half on that, first drive to score that touchdown. He did a tremendous job. And so we just got to see how it all comes together. And then, so for defensive side, that's one thing. And then, offensive side, again, with George Kittle and everything there. Yeah, that's kind of my immediate reaction. As far as grades, I'd probably say for running backs, I'm going to give them a B. I think they did well enough. They got a lot of yards. Defense, I'm actually going to give defense an A minus. I think they did a lot better than I expected, and so they really did well. And then the fumble recovery, like strip sack, like the only reason I'll give them an A plus is because I do think there were some times where just penalties and small mistakes, and then just not even football penalties, right? Or taunting or certain things like that. So that's the only reason A minus. But tight ends, I mean, I'm going to give them an A because Ton just got a touchdown catch from Purdy, and Kittle got a touchdown pass from Curtis, from Purdy. So I think they were good. And then quarterback, I'm going to give Brock probably C plus to B because he threw some interceptions that just weren't good. But at the same time, he also did throw two touchdown passes, and he still, even though that pressure was intense, they still found a way to get things done at the end of the day. So you can't deny results. And then, of course, offensive line, I'm going to really give them a C as well. I think they did good in protections in some areas, and then in some areas, they just weren't doing everything the way they needed to. So, again, this is the Phantom Niner. Uh, Subscribe, like the video, comment, dislike the video if you don't like it. But actually, just comment. Really, just share your opinions because I think they're super valid, and I think at some point, being a Niners fan, we've just seen so much over a long period of time. We've been with them through the highs, through the lows. The last 5, 6 years, the last, years since Shanahan has actually been, both the head coach and, the play caller. We've seen so much good and so much unimpressive stuff as well. So just let me know what you thought of the game, what you think is going to happen, and then where we go from here. So, once again,